we came up with a few principles. The first one I call meritocracy. The meritocracy means actually assigning people with tasks based on qualifications. Thankfully, we can actually apply that in technology. When it comes to computing and networks, the way I would define meritocracy is that all nodes should be equal to participate, but to take different roles based on their profile. So if I'm a node with a lot of storage, meritocracy says that I can be a cache node, for instance, or a storage node, right? If I have a great network, I can be proxy for others, right? So if you apply meritocracy to networks, then you make all the nodes equal. The other principle is distributed discovery. The first step for communication is discovering the nodes discovering each other. Now, if you want to get rid of middlemen, if you want to have decentralized system, you have to have distributed discovery. So you have to do away with things such as presence servers, right? So discovery needs to happen in a distributed fashion. It's key to decentralization. The other principle is clustering. Now, once you discover each other, you generally communicate in clusters. Now, communicating in clusters still requires, if everybody in a decentralized and organized fashion starts talking to each other, it's going to be very chatty, it's going to be very inefficient. So you still need some holders of knowledge in the network. We believe that can be done with, again, applying meritocracy in the sense that one node announces itself as supernode. It becomes the holder of knowledge, not holder of power, the holder of knowledge. It communicates across clusters. It coordinates information across clusters to reduce the burden of signaling within clusters. The other important thing is microservice to microservice communication. Now, especially for us, because we come from background of networking and physical layer, MAC layer, and this and that, we often miss the point on applications, right? It's not enough for two devices to be able to communicate to each other. At the end of the day, it's the applications that need to talk directly to one another. So we have to have a way for microservices to communicate directly. Otherwise, we're still going to end up with a centralized system. The other important thing is collaboration. Being able to share resources, share storage, share network, share maybe accessories and cameras. This is the only way we're going to harvest the computing power and all the resources at the edge of the network. So the ability to collaborate is also key to decentralization. The other is, I really couldn't find a better term, I called it bootstrapping. I mean only that resources need to be assigned when needed. So no always present data channels. For instance, if I need bearers, it should be dynamically assigned to me. I'll give you an example. For instance, if I'm an individual, I'm posting stuff on Facebook and 5 people are using my data or viewing my posts, everything can be served from my own device. But if a celebrity does that, for instance, and all of a sudden 1,000 people at the same time want to consume the data, then it should be perhaps going to central cloud, AWS, Lambda resources, being assigned dynamically, right, based on the usage. And that's what I would call bootstrapping. Because otherwise, if you don't bootstrap, you're going to end up with a very inefficient decentralized system. And last but not least is agnosticism. Being agnostic to operating systems, to networks, to platforms. Because at the end of the day, if microservices are going to talk to each other, They're going to have to go across all of these platforms, and this is perhaps one of the biggest challenges. In order to do that, if you want to do it, for instance, at OS and network level, you have to have Google and Samsung and Apple agree on a common OS. 3GPP and Wi-Fi Alliance work together to create a single standard. And we know, I gave up on that idea many years ago. We all know that that is not practical, and perhaps even is not the right thing to do. So agnosticism is key to decentralization.